Hello, everybody. Greetings, afternoon. What's happening? This your girl Tiffany French coming through right here on YouTube via Facebook. I'm streamed from both platforms. Today we're going to be dealing with topics on two African American women organization. One is called the Black Women Defense League, which started in Dallas, Texas, and the other one's called Assata's Daughter, which was started out of Chicago, Illinois. All right. So if you please make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, share this channel, and also check out other contents on here. Thank you guys that have been subscribing. I appreciate it a lot. That really means so much to me. Make sure you share this channel. Make sure you share this video. Make sure you hit the notification bell. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and check all the other contents out and all the great stuff. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. So I have some information I want to share about both of the organizations. Now you may wonder, well, why I want to do this. Well, March is Women Month or Women History Month. So by March being Women History Month, it's only fair to talk about the women organization that's around and that's out there. It's so many of them, but I decided to do two of them. So to stay within the time frame and whatnot. But it's so many Black women out there that has really done a lot, not just as far as musically or just entertainment wise, but there's excuse me, there's also so many women who have done a lot of work as far as organizational skills is concerned, doing social movement and whatnot. And so with that being said, I decided that I would rather do these two topics because they're very intriguing, very interesting. And so let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and start with the Black Women Defense League. All right. So hopefully you guys can see the link. All right. So the Black Women Defense League, and as you can see over here, is the logo. So I'm going to put up the logo for you. That's the logo for the organization. All right. Now, it's a self-defense organization based in Dallas, Texas, in the United States. It was founded in 2015 by Niecy S. They were influenced by the Black Panther Party and contemporary organization, including the Huey P. Newton Gun Club, but later split from the latter group. All right, the BWO describes itself as a womanist organization, according to the group's Facebook page. It works for the intermediate pursuit of an intersectional, safe, and free society, and organized to provide immediate protection and service to Black women and those most marginalized by white supremacy. Niecy S. and the group's leadership support transformative justice approaches to conflict and crime. All right, so people want to know what the heck is intersectional. I'm curious myself. Okay, so intersectionality is an analytical framework for understanding how aspects of a person's social and political identities combine to create different modes of discrimination and privilege. Examples of these aspects include gender, caste, sex, race, class, sexuality, religion, disability, physical appearance, and height. Intersectionality identifies multiple factors of advantage and disadvantage. These intersecting and overlapping social identities may be both empowering and oppressing. For example, a Black woman might face discrimination from a business that is not distinctly due to her race because the business does not discriminate against Black men, nor distinctly due to her gender because the business does not discriminate against white women, but due to a combination of the two factors. Okay. So I hope you guys get it. All right. Anyways, the group provides self-defense and armed training to abuse underserved Black women and marginalized genders, whatever that's supposed to mean, and also engages in political education, charity work, and youth outreach work, and hosts town hall meetings, panel discussions, and other events. In 2019, Niecy S founded Revolution Cafe and Bookstore, a vegan restaurant and bookstore in Dallas, which works in concert with the BWDL. All right, so here's the activities they have done so far. In January 2017, the BWDL members attended the Women's March in Washington, D.C. In September 2017, the group was involved in relief efforts in Houston, Port Arthur, and Beaumont, Texas, following Hurricane Harvey. Its activity focused on groups otherwise overlooked by relief organizations and those excluded by shelters. In December 2017, the BWDL organized a protest against a concert by R. Kelly in Dallas due to accusation of sexual misconduct. In May of 2018, the BWDL was featured in a documentary produced by Pacific Blue Ribbon, which sought to celebrate the voices of today's ever-evolving American dream. All right, so as you can see, there are also other links. There's references right here at the bottom of the page. And then there's the external link. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a video clip by this organization. They're going to go into more detail and explain what the organization is about, what's the purpose, and why they founded, why they wanted to do something that's focusing more on Black women and defense, self-defense, and whatnot. So let's go ahead and get started.
That we have to attack on every side because the enemy is attacking on every side. This is why we have self-defense classes, to make sure we can have. We are still slaves to this day, whether it be mental, financial, material, spiritual. These are things that we have to attack on every side because the enemy is attacking on every side. This is why we have self-defense classes, to make sure we can have the best response when we are doing non-armed or armed rescues. We are warriors.
In America, Black women face a unique set of threats. Their concerns involve a deadly combination of racism and violent patriarchy. Every 19 hours in America, a Black woman is killed by a man. And once every 21 hours, a Black woman is killed by a Black man. The Black Women's Defense League is showing these women how to fight back.
We will fight just as valiantly against the oppressor for each other.
Formed in Dallas in 2015 by Niecy X, the BWDL has embraced the legacy of their foremothers in the Black Panthers. They're out in the community, empowering young Blacks to exercise their Second Amendment rights to protect themselves from the violence of misogyny and systemic racism. In terms of this house, do you guys have guns here?
Yeah. Guns were actually involved in the civil rights movement because of the fact that there might be a cross burning in your front yard. It was because of the fact daughter might go to church and there's a bomb in the church. It's just that history has been hidden.
It's a weapon. It's something to protect you. And we all know the safe way to handle.
It's not
a big
rocket
deal,
science to say it.
What is the aesthetic element of the gun and style? And is that something that's important to you?
When people see women holding guns, it's automatically sexy. It doesn't matter if she's wearing a burqa. It's sexy for some reason. And for that, it's not something that I go out of my way to avoid, but I'm certain on making sure that it's not the message that they come away with. Like, oh, those are just some pretty girls with guns, you know. They are for use.
Black women should be a priority just by the numbers. More Black women died as a result of intimate partner than Black men get killed by the police.
We have this thing of this in-house. We don't want nobody outside the house to know what's going on. We don't want you to know that uncle next door has touched every woman in the house and he still gets to come to the family picnics. And why is this not dealt with? That's something that we come to shed light on. Not only do we have to fight the man, we got to fight our man.
At the end of the day, we have a common goal, which is ultimately liberation, but at the very least, the well-being and safety of our sisters.
Growing up in the city of Dallas helped shape Niecy's radical activism.
If the life is not safe, then the entire group of people is not safe.
It's one of the most racially segregated major metropolitan cities in the country, with extreme economic inequality. Not to mention, the city's police department has a woeful record of handling sex crimes for women, and was until recently the country's most dismal when it came to police-involved shootings. It's also the home base of several other Black activist organizations, like the Huey P. Newton Gun Club, which Niecy joined before starting the BWO.
I had a pretty sheltered life. Both of my parents were Catholic.
Had you had experience back then with guns or gun violence?
No, actually. Like, I've never been a big fan of guns, to tell you the truth. I think that they're probably one of the worst inventions on earth.
What was your evolution to get to a point where you created an organization so many women are excited about?
My grandmother had a deep love for politics. I grew up watching CNN and MSNBC, and I knew all of the senators and who the Republicans were. And really, I was drinking the Kool-Aid for a while. Like, I really thought that that's what it was. And I loved my grandmother. I trusted her. But I started going to protests and things.
You were in Huey P. Newton Gun Club. What happened that you sort of left that organization and started your own thing?
There were issues with sexism. There were issues with an individual that I had been dealing with romantically, and there was some violence that occurred between him and I. I was pregnant at the time. My locket was a really horrible feeling, and it wasn't horrible, I think, for the reasons that most people think it was. It wasn't like the immediate pain of anything that was happening. It was just feeling powerless. And then afterwards, it was worse because the response wasn't one of support. They, pretty much ignored it. And then at the point when I became more vocal about it and I started requiring that there be something done about these types of things, they literally sent me an email and they were just like, we don't deal with this type of stuff and we're not going to tolerate it and you need to stop. And it makes me wonder, if women and children are 2/3 of the community, how much of the community are you there for if you're not there for the protection of them?
We reached out to the Huey P. Newton Gun Club about their handling of Niecy's allegations. They said that Niecy was not part of at the time the alleged incident took place, and say that the Black Women's Defense League was a male-bashing feminist movement fueled by a hateful stance towards men.
And I'll be honest, there was a lot that I didn't know about women's issues before I started to study it, and I became an unwilling example of why it's necessary.
J. Edgar Hoover once said that the most dangerous thing the Black Panthers ever did was not carry guns for self-defense, but actually administer social programs for the people. Programs like free breakfast and free lunch. The Black Women's Defense League, that tradition of providing support for the people in this community by giving young kids food and support and love.
What you supposed to say? Thank you.
I feel like this is a good positive thing that y'all doing. Letting these children know that they are somebody.
And somebody care about you.
And somebody care about you. And it's somebody with the same face that you got.
What do you know about Africa? They got cheetahs.
People that's real black.
People that's real black? Like you, me, black? The goal isn't just to give them a full stomach, but to give them something to think about and some knowledge of self.
How do the social outreach programs that you're working on, also some of the self-defense stuff that you're doing?
The gun in and of itself is a tool, right? It's a tool, and that's it. If I had it my way, guns wouldn't exist. However, if you're providing education and knowledge of self, then it becomes useful for what it is, which is self-defense. Because in the event that you or a family member needs to use it, it's really important that it's not something that's scary to you.
This is private property. I don't know how this works, but I mean, if you're going to be somewhere, you need permission from the owner.
What's happening right now is the Black Women's Defense League has been coming here to this low-income area to give food to the children, but because it's private property, the direct manager has been saying, yo, you can't do it. They called the police.
We've been coming here weeks and weeks and been doing these different things and giving people clothes and shoes and hygiene products, and everybody's enjoying it and they know they're in need of it. But the problem is they have a racist, maybe 5 or less than that racist people who have a problem, Black people doing positive shit. And that's really what the issue is. So go ahead and call the pigs.
Do you think it's right to shut a program like this down?
It's up to the owner.
I know, but like, do you think it's right though, honestly?
Please don't touch my flag. Thank you. You say no.
Although giving back to the community is a big part of the Black Women's Defense League, it's self-defense training with firearms that sets them apart from other organizations. In Texas, Black women have been identified as the fastest growing demographic of gun owners. Of course, being a Black gun owner is a dangerous proposition in a country that has historically criminalized Black gun ownership. From the birth of this nation through Jim Crow, it was illegal in some states for Blacks to even possess guns. And modern gun control, as we know it, began as a conservative cause pushed forth by politicians like Ronald Reagan in the 60s to keep firearms out of the hands of groups like the Black Panthers. Many argue that this legacy continues today. They cite cases like Marissa Alexander, a woman who served 3 years in prison for firing a warning shot at her abusive husband in Florida. The same to keep firearms out of, and modern gun control, as we know it, began as a conservative cause pushed forth by politicians like Ronald Reagan. From the birth of this nation, Texas, Black women have been identified as the fastest growing demographic of gun owners. Of course, being a Black gun owner is a dangerous proposition in a country that has historically criminalized Black gun ownership. From the birth of this nation through Jim Crow, it was illegal in some states for Blacks to even possess guns. And modern gun control, as we know it, began as a conservative cause pushed forth by politicians like Ronald Reagan in the 60s to keep firearms out of the hands of groups like the Black Panthers. Many argue that this legacy continues today. They cite cases like Marissa Alexander, served 3 years in prison for firing a warning shot at her abusive husband in Florida, the same state where George Zimmerman got off scot-free after killing Trayvon Martin. I was thinking a lot about this history as I rolled with the Black Women's Defense League to a white-owned gun range in Texas. We're here with the Black Women's Defense League, kind of been talking about how this is still in the early beginnings of the group. And so as individuals, they're still getting acclimated to the idea of using guns as self-defense. This is a process where they're learning and feeling comfortable about it. And then they're going to evangelize it and take this information that they're gathering to the people who are interested in the group. So this is sort of the inception of a new movement.
So when it comes down to the necessities, which I do consider the ability to protect one's custody, it's kind of a necessary evil at this point,
Actually, it's more Black women in here than any race usually.
Really?
You're a target whether you carry a gun, a knife, or walk in the streets and protest.
When you're an armed group and have a gun involved, you start talking about privileges. Say, for example, John Crawford was shot in an open carry state. If it's an open carry state and I'm in a Walmart carrying a gun, why would you shoot me on site, even if the gun is real? And see, that's the thing is, like, say, when Nisi is holding a gun, people see a different thing than just, oh, she must be a Second Amendment advocate. They're not going to initially associate it with some sort of constitutional right. They're going to want to know, what is she up to?
Right. Do you see the gun sort of like a phallic or masculine?
I think some of them are kind of sexy. I think it's best to be consistently training on firearms, hand-to-hand combat. You're never good enough.
All right, so that's the information. Now, that's something that stood out to me as I'm watching this video. Black gun owners are in a disposition or something of that nature. That statement that was made about black gun owners and their disposition in the United States, that's just interesting to me. It's just something that just really stood out. It's something that stood out to me. So, as a person that owns a gun in view of African descent, chances are you're going to be looked at as a threat than somebody who is non-African descent that owns a weapon. It's funny how we've been marginalized, but I guess because we are being associated with crimes that's happening within our communities as well. So because there's so much criminal activity taking place, it's easy to place the label on somebody who is African descendant or black as a threat for carrying a weapon than anybody else. I just thought that was interesting. All right, but that's the information about the Black Women Defense Organization. So I'm going to go ahead and get on to the next topic. All right, so next topic I'm going to be dealing with is Assata's daughters. So Assata's daughters have a website. All right, this is their website here, which is assatasdaughters.org. Okay. So right here it says, it is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love each other and protect each other. We've got nothing to lose but our chain. Assata Shakur. Okay, so this is the website page here. All right. I like the little logo. I like the graffiti right here. This is really nice. I thought this was really cool. Yep. So it says it's a Black woman-led young person directed organization rooted in the Black radical tradition. All right. So let's look at more information about this. So what was the cause of the reason why this organization exists? All right. So Assata's daughter. Assata's daughter is an organization of young radical African American women and girls in Chicago protesting against police violence. Founded in March of 2015 by Paige May, Assata's daughter is named after the Black Panther Party and Black Liberation Army member Assata Shakur. Assata's daughter is part of a cluster of Black activist organization known as the Movement for Black Lives. As of 2016, Assata's daughter had 68 active members. All right. It says the death of Eric Gardner and the subsequent protests are what led to the organization of Assata's daughter in Chicago. The group engages in protest tactics similar to the members of the Black Youth Project 100 in order to disrupt the business as usual and raise awareness of their cause. The activist group was founded by Paige May, an African-American woman. May grew up in in a nearly all-white town in Virginia, moved to Massachusetts to attend college, and arrived in Chicago for a fellowship. May has spent time in Chicago working with Black Youth Project 100, which she said cleared the way in legitimizing all Black radical spaces, in turn paving the way for Assata's Daughters. Assata's Daughters is, well, I already read that part, so. All right, so here's the objectives. The objectives of Assata's Daughters are similar to the Black Panthers Party 10-point program, but the group says it added an 11-point to the program. The Black Panthers 10-point program was: we want freedom. We want power to determine the destiny of our Black community. Number 2, we want full employment for our people. Number 3, we want an end to robbery of our people by capitalists of our Black community. 4, we want decent housing fit for the shelter of human beings. 5, we want education for our people that exposes the true nature of this decadent American society. We want education that teaches us our true history and our role in the present day society. Number 6, we want all Black men to be exempt from military services. Number 7, we want an immediate end to police brutality, murder of Black people. Number 8, we want freedom for all Black men held in federal, state, county, and city prisons and jails. Number 9, we want all Black people, when brought to trial, to be tried in court by a jury of their peer group or people from their Black communities, as defined by the Constitution of the United States. Number 10, we want land, bread, housing, education, clothing, justice, and peace. Assata's Daughters' 11 point is the right of self-determination for gender and sexuality. Interesting. All right, so here's the timelines of the events demonstration. So in March 2015, Assata's Daughter. Okay, in October 2015, Assata's Daughters helped plan and then participate in a protest at the International Association of Chiefs of Police conference in Chicago. Assata's Daughter and other activist groups said that they protested the conference to bring attention to state-sanctioned violence. In November 2015, after the IACP protest, Assata's Daughters continued to speak out against police militarization in a letter that was co-written by We Charge Genocide, Not One More, and BYP 100. All right, so then it goes on in 2016, February 16, Assata's Daughter joined a number of anti-deportation and other activist groups to block the street in front of the Immigration and Customs Enforcement field office in downtown Chicago. All right. So in February 24th, Assata Daughters participate in the hashtag Buy Anita protests to criticize the fact that it took State's Attorney Anita Alvarez a year to respond officially to the death of Laquan McDonald, who was shot and killed by Chicago police officer Jason Van Dyke. All right, so in 2017-2018, Assata's Daughters received a $25,000 donation from American football player Colin Kaepernick. Kaepernick donated to the organization again in 2018, giving $20,000. His contribution was supplemented further by $10,000 from comedian Hannibal Buress and another $10,000 from actress Yara Shahidi. All right. So here is the references at the bottom of the page if you guys want to find out more information. All right. So you got on here, or you can also go on their website, which is assatasdaughter.org. Now, there's a video that I want to play for you guys.
So we don't think that police and prisons keep us safe. In fact, we think that they add more violence and add more harm.
No, they still human, but they let their job get the best of them. Like, they live a life like us too. They gotta pay taxes and things like that too, but they feel like when they in the blue badge, they can do whatever they want.
I think rage was the only way for me to like comprehend all that I felt.
I had like 6, 8 friends die. Like, a lot of people pass away.
The person that you was just with can die 3 hours later, especially in Chicago. You never know when it's your day to die.
Coming to Assata's, I was just like kind of lost and looking for a place to put a lot of my anger around the things that were going on.
After the first meeting, I wanted to join because it gave me the feeling of family, like that I could come to this space and feel safe. I learned about Assata Shakur, feminism, how to be an organizer, becoming a better organizer.
I was looking for answers, and like I thought it was just the first place that rage was like rightfully answered, in the first place where I saw a lot of other people's rage being validated.
So my name is Paige May. I am the co-founder of Assata's Daughters and currently work as the organizing director. I had the idea, it felt like there was a need to create a container for young people to be able to participate in meaningful ways in the movement for Black lives.
People need an outlet. It gave me the feeling of like I could come to the space and speak my mind and not be ridiculed by anyone.
I think when we started, being naive really worked in our favor. I don't think we understood the scale of what we would become and thus what we had to build and what we had to do. And it's been a hugely steep learning curve. But at the time, it was just one of those moments that just made sense. And it really, truly felt like we have everything we need. Even though we don't know exactly what we're doing, we have everything we need.
No Cap Academy is a coalition of multiple organizations. Rahm Emanuel, the mayor of the city, proposed a $95 million Cap Academy. This building was proposed to be built in an area where 6 out of 50 Chicago public schools were torn down. We just think the money could be better allocated, and that's like the goal of the No Cap Academy campaign.
There's a long, long history of young people engaging in protests, particularly teenagers engaging in protests. Through No Cap, you're seeing young Black people insist you will hear us.
We have a voice, and if you want to stand up, just stand up. You don't have to back down just because you're 16. You don't have to back down just because you're 13. You can still have a voice, no matter how old you are.
We filled City Hall with more people than I've ever seen. They could not get a sentence out.
What happens often is that young people are used to show something and like used in ways that we don't agree with.
I believe in people saying no. I believe in people disobeying. No one is born this like incredible radical person, right? And that we should start to look at what helps, what pushes people in those ways. We're trying to make sure that young folks in our neighborhood have the tools that they need to survive, and to thrive, and to organize. So this is the Assata's HQ, or home quarters. We wanted to have a space in the neighborhood where young people from that neighborhood could help transform a building that had been abandoned. Everything from the colors to where the bookcases are to how the books are arranged to that green square. There's a story behind it of a young person who made that decision, who was a part of building this into what it is. This neighborhood has one of the highest percentages of vacant lots in the city. This is one of the few buildings that's left. And this is a result of divestment and intentional displacement of the people that live here.
Youth activists in Chicago's Washington Park neighborhood are mourning the loss of their headquarters this week after the city knocked down their building.
Our young people saw our space as a home, as a way to focus on building up their dedication to restorative justice.
Chicago police say they are investigating the incident.
Wow, how devastating. That's real devastating that the headquarter of Assata's daughters was pretty much vandalized and destroyed. You know, though that sister worked hard to put a location there so she can get her organization going, just to have it destroyed by whoever. So hopefully everything's going well with them. Hopefully they're up and back and running and staying focused and trying to get things organized. Yeah. So, but here's the thing. Anytime you're doing anything that's regarding to activism or social movement or anything that nature, it's going to always come with some type of chaotic moment. It's always going to come with some vengeance. Somebody who, whether it be someone that's within the organization or outside of it, it's always going to come with the problem. So that's one thing people have to prepare when you're doing some type of work that is geared towards organizing for a community. You got to be prepared for the negative effect behind it as well, so it won't become a surprise to you. And recently we done had a lot of activists, black activists, that have been murdered. They have lost their lives, whether it's been by gunshot or any other tragic event. So one thing we must remember, one of the most important thing is your mental health. Your health is always important. You got to make sure your health is on point psychologically and physically. Just recently, I lost a good friend of mine who was very active in the Atlanta community, very well known, especially on the West Side, was a former GD, but he was the type of person that put his life on the line, especially when it came down to homeless people. He really put the fight up and against these politicians. But the problem is he was having so many health challenges to where he didn't really take the time to focus on his health and regroup himself because he was too busy out doing community work. And that's a great thing. But you got to focus on your health. And so he ended up having a seizure. And because of this seizure, he did not come back from it. He did not recover. So he died. The thing is, you got to take care of yourself. The movement is still going to be around. The people going to still be around. But you got to focus on your health. Same way with Dr. Khalid Muhammad, a prominent activist of the new Black Panther Party. And before that, in the Nation of Islam, he was so busy doing community work. He was so busy traveling so much that he did not focus on his health. And what happened? He ended up dying from brain aneurysm, from all the amount of stress that comes involved in doing these type of work for the community. So you got to take the time out to get yourself back in focus. You got to, work on your physical and your mental. That's why people get involved into the concept of spirituality. Why? Because spirituality helps them to be able to stay focused, be able to regain their conscience. That's why. Be able to withstand a society that is so discombobulated. So that's why people get involved in spirituality, to regain their conscience and to be able to deal with the discombobulation of a society that is known to be very oppressive. But anyways, you guys, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you check out my channel. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. And also, please be safe. Please be careful with this pandemic. And I know some of you are out there taking the vaccine. I hope everything going well with the vaccine. If you're taking it, if you plan on taking the vaccine, do your research. If you plan on not taking the vaccine, I could totally understand. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of skepticism going on. I get that. But either way it goes, please be careful and be safe. All right. And make sure that you acknowledge that your health is your wealth and your well-being comes first. All right. So, and shout out to those sisters that's doing their thing in these organizations. Keep on with the good work. Keep continuing to progressing, growing, and benefiting and all that good stuff and helping the community to get to the direction it needs to go. All right. So this is Women History Month, and this is the Women History Month, and I will make sure that the sisters are going to be acknowledged more and be more, gain more recognition on this channel, especially this time of March, because it's very important that, without the sisters, there will be no community. Without the brothers, there will be no community. But the sister is like the foundation of the community, of the Black community in particular. So we give birth to life. We give birth to both male and females. Okay? We're the primary educators. We're the primary teachers. And that's by us being in those positions, it's fair that we as women, as Black women in particular, receive more recognition, acknowledgement for the work that we have contributed in our community, in our churches, in our institutions, in our social movements, political movements, all that good stuff. This is the time that we shouldn't just do it on the month of March. It should be like that throughout 365 days a year. But March is like the Jubilee celebration. So take the time out and learn about various women from various backgrounds who have done various work. Also, make your knowledge universal. It's very important that knowledge stay universal, all right? Don't be confined to just one knowledge or one source of information. Be able to grow and expand your knowledge. That's why you're here, because you're here to learn and you're here to live. If you was not willing to learn, then what are you living for? Anyways, y'all take it easy on yourself, and I'll reconnect with you all later. So thank you. All right, stay positive and stay motivated and stay encouraged.